London, 1971. In an era of social upheaval and shifting cultural norms, a story was about to unfold that would grip the nation. A tale of audacity, mystery, and silence that has echoed for over 50 years. This is the story of the Baker Street Robbery, a crime so perfectly planned and shrouded in secrecy that it's often called the walkie-talkie bank job, a heist that vanished from the headlines almost as quickly as it appeared, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions. What really happened in the vault of Lloyd's Bank that September weekend, and why did the British government seem so desperate to bury the story? Our story begins not with a bang, but with a whisper. In late 1970, Anthony Gabin, a career criminal and skilled photographer, began meticulously planning the perfect bank heist. His target, the Lloyd's Bank branch at 187 Baker Street. Why this bank? It was old, its security systems were dated, and crucially, its vault was located in a basement that shared a wall with a seemingly ordinary leather goods shop called Lissac, just 2 doors down. Gavin assembled a specialist team. There was Reg Tucker, a car salesman with inside connections, Thomas Stevens, another experienced hand, and several others whose identities remain unconfirmed to this day. The mastermind, however, was a man whose real name is still debated, known only by the alias Mr. Big, or sometimes referred to as a high society figure with an intimate knowledge of the bank's layout. This wasn't a smash-and-grab crew. This was a team of professionals. Their plan was a masterpiece of criminal engineering. First, they rented the Lissac shop, using it as their base of operations. The inside of the shop became a staging area, its windows papered over with a sign claiming it was closed for renovations. Their first major challenge was getting through the concrete floor of the shop to reach the earth below. They used a thermal lance, a tool that burns at thousands of degrees, to melt through the reinforced concrete with surgical precision. It was slow, dangerous work, generating intense heat and toxic fumes. Once through, they began to dig. 4 weeks, they tunneled a 40-foot passage from Lissac, underneath the Chicken Inn restaurant that sat between them and the bank, aiming directly for the vault wall. They worked primarily on weekends to avoid suspicion, hauling away an estimated 8 tons of soil and rubble in bags, meticulously cleaning up after every session. Communication was key. They used walkie-talkies to coordinate, with a lookout posted on a nearby rooftop, watching for police patrols and listening to their radio frequencies. This rooftop sentinel would become a crucial part of the story. On the night of Friday, September 10th, 1971, the team was ready for the final push. They broke through the last layer of the vault floor, but their celebrations were cut short. Inside, they discovered that the vault floor was just that, a floor. The safe deposit boxes were stacked on shelves, and they had come up right in the middle of the room, completely exposed. Thinking on their feet, they used a 100-ton hydraulic jack to try and force open the boxers, but it was slow and incredibly noisy. Then, they reverted to a more brute force method, a heavy-duty hammer and chisel. For 2 days they worked inside the vault, methodically breaking into as many boxers as they could. Meanwhile, miles away, an amateur radio enthusiast named Robert Rowlands was tuning his receiver, hoping to catch some interesting conversations. Just after 11 p.m. on Saturday night, he stumbled upon a strange broadcast. He heard voices, calm and professional, discussing things like checking the door and sitting on 300 grand. He heard them mention the lookout, who's getting cold on the roof. Rowlands realized he was listening to a bank robbery in progress. He immediately called the police. At first, they were skeptical. A crank call. A prank. But Rowlands was persistent. He recorded the conversations. The police began a frantic search, visiting 750 banks within a 10-mile radius of Rowlands' location, even checking the very Lloyd's branch on Baker Street twice. But the vault was sealed by a time lock, and with no external signs of a break-in, they moved on, unaware the thieves were still inside. The gang, listening to police chatter on their own radio, knew the net was tightening. By Sunday, they packed up their loot and slipped away, leaving behind a vault in utter chaos. When bank staff opened the vault on Monday morning, the scale of the robbery was staggering. 268 safe deposit boxes had been plundered. The police were baffled. How could this have happened right under their noses? The media went into a frenzy. The press dubbed it the walkie-talkie bank job, and the story dominated every front page. The audacity of the crime captured the public's imagination. But then, something strange happened. Just 4 days after the story broke, it vanished. A government issued a notice, a formal request to the media to refrain from publishing certain information on grounds of national security was issued. The story was effectively silenced. The official explanation was that continuing coverage could compromise the ongoing police investigation, but many suspected a deeper, more compelling reason for the blackout. This is where the mystery deepens. What was in those boxers that was so sensitive it warranted a government gag order? The thieves reportedly netted between £1 and £3 million, a colossal sum for the time, but the rumors were about more than just cash and jewels. Whispers began to circulate about the contents of one specific box number 118. It allegedly belonged to a radical Black Power leader, Michael X, and contained compromising photographs of a prominent member of the royal family, Princess Margaret. Other theories suggest the boxes held evidence of corruption involving high-ranking police officers and politicians, blackmail material, and secret ledgers from London's criminal underworld. Was the robbery not just a robbery, but a covert operation to retrieve this compromising material? Some have even suggested that MI5 or another intelligence agency either orchestrated the heist or allowed it to happen to get their hands on the contents. The police investigation, led by Detective Superintendent Alec Heist, did eventually lead to arrests. Within weeks, 4 men, including Gavin, Tucker, and Stevens, were caught, largely because one of the gang members had made the rookie mistake of using his real name on the lease for the LA sack shop. They were tried and convicted, receiving long prison sentences, but the money and the full truth were never recovered. The alleged mastermind, the shadowy Mr. Big, was never identified or brought to justice. He, along with several other members of the gang, simply melted back into the shadows. The government has never declassified the files related to the and many official documents on the case remain sealed, not to be opened for decades to come. The Baker Street Robbery remains one of Britain's greatest unsolved mysteries. Was it simply a brilliant, old-fashioned heist carried out by a crew of daring professionals? Or was it something far more complex? A clandestine operation wrapped inside a robbery, designed to protect the secrets of the powerful, the silence from the government, the missing loot, the unidentified mastermind, and the tantalizing rumors of what lay inside those metal boxes have fueled speculation for half a century. The truth, like the bulk of the stolen fortune, seems to have been locked away, perhaps forever. The official investigation, while seemingly thorough, was surprisingly brief, and many felt it was intentionally curtailed. The 4 men who were convicted were considered minor players in the grand scheme. They received lengthy prison sentences but were released after serving only a fraction of their time. The alleged mastermind, Mr. Big, was never identified or brought to justice. Speculation still swirls about who he was and whether he had powerful connections that protected him from prosecution. The bulk of the £3 million, equivalent to over £30 million today, was never recovered. It is believed to have been funneled into various businesses and offshore accounts, effectively laundered and lost to time. The convicted members of the gang maintained a strict code of silence, never revealing the full extent of the operation or the identities of their accomplices. This silence has only deepened the mystery, leaving historians and amateur sleuths to piece together the puzzle with limited information. Over the years, several individuals have been suggested as Mr. Big, but no theory has ever been definitively proven. The legend of the Baker Street Robbery was further immortalized in the 2008 film, The Bank Job. The film, while taking creative liberties, introduced the story to a new generation and renewed public interest in the case. It dramatized the theory of the royal family's compromising photos, cementing this narrative in the public consciousness. Today, the story serves as a stark reminder of a time when a daring group of criminals could pull off the impossible, and how, even in an age of information, some secrets remain stubbornly buried, locked away tighter than any bank vault. The hole in the vault floor was patched up long ago, but the hole in the official story remains as wide as ever. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into history's most compelling mysteries.